Alright, how's it going, fellas? We have a tier list today of bad habits, things that'll basically cause your life to get worse. We have poor hygiene right here, so the rotting teeth. Poor hygiene is a really bad habit, of course. Cause your teeth to rot out if you don't brush them, don't floss them. If you don't wash yourself, you're gonna smell horrendous. People are going to look at you kind of weird if you end up not washing yourself properly and taking care of yourself. I'm going to go ahead and put bad hygiene in B tier because there is still some people that have a productive life even with bad hygiene. It won't necessarily destroy your life like some of these other things will, but this is more of a long-term negative habit. In short term, you might be able to get away with it a little bit. The next habit we have is alcohol. Yep, good old alcohol, as represented by the Four Locos. So alcohol can destroy you. It's destroyed a lot of people. If you get a DUI, that's going to be on your record forever. Alcohol will cause you to make some very bad decisions. Alcoholism is one of the worst addictions that you can have. A lot of people end up destroying their entire life from alcohol. It doesn't matter what age you are. Older people get destroyed. Younger people get destroyed. Yeah, alcohol is a rough one, man. I don't know. It's definitely S or A tier. I'm going to put alcohol in the S tier just because it's just so negative, and the positives that come with alcohol, if you can moderate, you can kind of escape a lot of the negatives that come with it. But if you end up making alcohol a habit, that's where it starts kind of getting dark and your life starts taking a really bad trajectory. A lot of people have destroyed their lives, lost their kids, lost their relationships, their jobs. Yeah, alcohol is a bad one. Okay. Next we have being lazy. Being lazy. Being lazy is a really bad habit because, well, you're never going to get anything done. You're never going to complete any projects or complete anything worth doing. You're just going to fall behind of everyone else that's willing to put in the work. I'm going to put being lazy in A tier because it won't completely destroy you. There's a lot of people that are lazy that still scrape by. You can still technically live a decent life even if you're lazy. But if you're trying to get yourself into a better place in life, if you're actually trying to achieve things, being lazy is going to cause you to fall behind. So, yeah. It's pretty bad, but maybe not as bad as being an alcoholic. Okay, next thing we got chasing women. Chasing women is a bad habit because you're going to spend a lot of money on nonsense. It's going to cause women to think that you're a creep. It's just you could be spending your time better. You could be spending your time a lot more productively than chasing women and simping. It's going to lower your self-confidence. It's going to lower your self-esteem. And if you're chasing women, you're just not doing other things that you should be doing, like making more money, improving yourself, building a business. I'm going to put chasing women in the C tier because chasing women is not, obviously not as bad as some of these other things on the list. It's a little bit more mild. Can still live a successful life while doing this, and you can still have a successful career, etc., make a lot of money, but I would say it's a hindrance and it will affect you in the long term. Next on our list, we have letting people walk over you or letting them treat you as a doormat, being a people pleaser. So being a people pleaser is a bad habit because you never know how to say no. You're always going to be trying to please people and trying to avoid conflict, and ultimately in the long term it's going to affect you negatively because predators are going to enter your life and take advantage of you. You're going to miss out on things that should have been yours that someone else might take from you. People are just not going to give you the respect that you deserve. It's going to cause your mental health to fluctuate if other people are treating you like shit, taking advantage. So I'm going to put being a people pleaser in the B tier. There are lots of people pleasers that still get by just fine. You know, they get the things they want, but they definitely feel a lack of confidence. It's some people live their whole life being a people pleaser and they just don't like confrontation. And it does take a lot of courage to stand up for yourself and have a spine. So some people never break that bad habit and just learn to live with it. Next on our list, we have lack of sleep or not getting enough sleep. This is going to be A tier. I'm very certain this is A tier. It's almost in the S tier. A lot of people can get by with a lack of sleep. There's many successful people that only sleep 5-6 hours a night. Most people don't even get enough sleep. I think upwards of 60% of people don't get 8 hours, don't get 9 hours of sleep. So it's actually quite common. It will negatively affect you in the long term, for sure. This is more of one of the long-term ones, of course. In the short term, you may be able to get away with this. You know, you could really put in a lot of hours in a job, get a lot of stuff done, get 6 hours, get back at it. I know people that have done this for months and months. I've done it myself. I'm guilty of this bad habit, actually. A lot of college students will do this. A lot of younger people will do this. It's only really when you have a lot of free time where you can truly get enough sleep. Otherwise, I've noticed what most people do is they'll get a lack of sleep because they spend most of their day working or spend most of their day being busy. And what few hours left they have in the evening, they'll end up staying up really late to make up for all the hours they lost during the day. So some people get home at 6-7 o'clock. It's already dark. They want to spend time with their family. They want to go to the gym, relax, eat, play video games, whatever. Go out, hang out with friends, and before you know it, it's 1 or 2 a.m. and you got to wake up at 5, 6, 7 a.m. Before you know it, you just lost a bunch of sleep, and you got to get through that day, and it's going to feel real rough. Eventually, it will hit you. Okay. The next negative habit we have is gambling. Gambling is a tough one. Gambling can be good or bad depending on how addicted you get to it. There's some people that know how to gamble, and there's a lot of people that let it consume them, end up becoming lifelong gamblers, end up spending all their money on gambling. I'm going to put gambling in the C tier because I know a lot of people that gamble just for fun, and it doesn't exactly destroy them. I would say this is one of the rarer things that you could get addicted to. Now, if you get a gambling addiction, it's really bad. You could kind of put it up in the higher tiers. But in general, most people that gamble do it for fun. They're able to keep it to a level where it's not going to completely consume them or destroy them. Me, myself, I mean, even I like a little bit of gambling every now and then. Every here and there, I might play some Texas Hold'em, buy a scratch off maybe once a year. And for most people, gambling really isn't that bad of a problem, so I'm going to put gambling in the C tier. Okay, next we have loneliness. We have being lonely. This is a tough one as well. I'm going to put this one in B. Mainly because some people just like to be by themselves, introverted, and they can get on just fine. I guess it really depends on your personality. Loneliness can really destroy you if you're not used to being lonely, if it really affects you really badly. There is some people that loneliness really doesn't affect them that bad. In fact, you know, they enjoy being lonely. Some people enjoy being by themselves. A lot of people enjoy being, you know, in their own space. so to speak. So I'm going to put this one in the B tier because it really depends. You can be lonely for certain periods of your life and go back into being a social person, but if you let this completely consume you, completely shut yourself off from the world, it can have some really bad negative mental effects. Could start getting paranoid, scared to go outside, start being kind of afraid to talk to other people, interact with others. You start to go into delusions. So yeah, being lonely is in the B tier. It depends on who you are and how long you are in the loneliness. Next on our list, we have sugar. Good old sugar, really bad habit. A lot of people get addicted to sugar through sodas, pastries, donuts, sweets, candy. Sugar absolutely is an addiction that you can develop. Many of us have had a sugar addiction at some point in our life, whether we were a child or adult. Sugar can cause you to become extremely obese. It can affect your skin. It's very addictive. Sugar withdrawals are a real thing. We've all had a sugar withdrawal before. I'm going to put sugar in the D tier because it's not like you're freaking smoking crack or something like that, or or completely throwing your life away being lazy. You may become more overweight if you consume too much sugar and become addicted to it. It can cause your skin to get worse. You could have a lack of energy, sugar crash. So sugar is definitely a bad habit, but maybe not a habit that'll completely ruin your life. Okay, next on our list we have smoking, particularly nicotine. This also represents vaping. I'm going to put this in the A tier. Smoking, nicotine, or vaping is a long-term negative habit. Short-term, it really isn't that bad, you know? It's not going to cause you to have any mental problems. There's a lot of high performers out there, a lot of very hardworking people that smoke nicotine, use nicotine or vape, and they use it as a coping stress mechanism, stimulant. It can cause you to become more alert, help you think a little bit more clearly, especially if you're in a high stress environment. Smoking I would put it in the B tier, but the reason I'm putting it in the A tier is because it is so highly addictive, and vaping and smoking is, in the long term, one of the worst things you could do for your body. Maybe not for your mind, but definitely for your body. It causes cancer. It's proven that smoking is going to negatively affect your health almost as badly, if not worse, than alcohol. They typically go hand in hand. If you're addicted to alcohol, most of these people are also addicted to nicotine. That's just how things are. Not to mention that nicotine just causes you financial strain as well. Smoking is a very expensive habit. Not a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. Okay, next we have watching porn and masturbating. I'm going to put this in the S tier because this is a very bad habit for a specific reason. It's going to cause you mentally. It's a very bad addiction to have. Lack of energy, lack of confidence. It starts warping your mind. Porn is one of those things that you always have in your pocket. You can jack off whenever you want at home. It's completely free. A lot of these other things you have to spend money on, but this is something that mentally is very hard to break. Most men are addicted to porn. This is proven. I would say upwards of 80% of men watch porn on a regular basis. Causes erectile dysfunction, causes you to become a weirdo. You start having all sorts of weird sexual thoughts that really don't do anything great for you mentally in the long term. So I'm putting porn in the S tier just because it is so highly addictive. Most people end up starting porn when they're young. and it's a very hard habit to break. Next, we have excessive phone usage, phone addiction. Phone addiction, I'm going to put in the B tier because it will not destroy your life, but it will definitely take a lot of your time up. Phone addiction is a real thing. Nowadays, most people are glued to their phones. You're losing out on many years of your life by spending hours a day on your phone. I'm guilty of this as well. It's something that I've been working on is minimizing my screen time. Particularly, I want to stop watching Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. TikTok would fall into this category. Doom scrolling, you know where I'm going. Maybe not as bad as having an alcohol addiction or lack of sleep. However, this can actually contribute to some of these other things. Laziness, lack of sleep is definitely tied to the phone addiction. Same thing with the porn, because most people watch porn on their phone. And also as well as loneliness. So this is going to be B tier. I mean, it could be a bit lower, but just because it's kind of a gateway to some of these other bad habits. So I'm going to put it right here in the middle. Okay, next thing we have is inconsistency / giving up. This is going to go in A tier. Why? Well, because you're never going to get anything accomplished in life. This is very similar to the being lazy. So yeah, being very inconsistent will fuck your life up. It'll fuck you up if you're trying to learn a skill, college, trying to complete your objectives as far as your projects. Anything you try to learn in life, anything you try to do in life, you have to be consistent. And a lot of people are quitters. They don't see immediate results, so they end up quitting. And what ends up happening is they spend their entire life quitting prematurely, and they never actually get any long-term results. So I'm going to put that in the A tier because it's very similar to being lazy. Next thing we have is binging TV. Binging TV, I'm going to put it right next to the phone addiction. It's pretty much the same thing. You're just wasting time. You're just mindlessly wasting time. Staring at a screen all day, spending hours a day, glued to a screen, completely numbed out after work. Even if you don't work, there's people that stare at a screen all day. No employment, job training, nothing. They just sit at home and they consume content all day. It's going to go in the B tier. Next thing we have is nicotine, but in the oral form. I wanted to make that distinction for all the Zyn enjoyers out there. I'm putting it in C tier, mainly because it still is a bad habit, but it is a good alternative to smoking if you do have a nicotine addiction. And Zyns have been shown to, yes, they can burn a hole in your lip or your gum, but at the end of the day, we all know that oral nicotine is much safer than smoking, especially if you want to minimize lung cancer or aging yourself. So consuming Zyns or chewing tobacco is just not as bad as smoking, so I'm going to put it in the C tier. It's slightly worse than having a sugar addiction, of course, but yeah, it's really not that bad. Okay, next we have is ignorance. I'm going to put ignorance in the S tier because ignorance is very similar to arrogance. And it's being so arrogant that you refuse to learn, refuse to improve, and you think you already have things figured out. You already think that what you know is the truth, and being ignorant will never let you change for the better. You're never going to change your bad habits if you're ignorant, if you don't educate yourself, if you don't try to learn. You'll never learn any new skills, nothing, try to improve. Being ignorant will leave you in piss poor poverty. It will destroy your friendships. It will destroy your life. They say ignorance is bliss, and yeah, it is, but it's also hell because it's going to end up causing you to have a shitty life, and you're never going to know what's outside of the little box you've put yourself into. Next, we have self-deprecation or having a negative outlook. So this is just kind of having a negative mindset. That's going to go in the A tier. Having a negative self-image nowadays is extremely common. It kind of goes there with laziness. It will make you feel like you can't do anything, like you can't make any changes. It's going to make you feel like you can't become better. You can be self-aware. You can definitely be self-aware and have this as a major problem. And this is very common amongst the population, especially younger people. Self-deprecation, thinking that you're ugly, thinking that you're stupid. It just causes you to miss out on a lot of positivity in life, and you're not going to manifest very good things if you're stuck in a negative mindset. Next thing we have video games. Video games, very bad habit. I'm going to put it up there. Same thing with the phone. This goes hand in hand with the phone. Same thing with the binge watching TV, the Netflix. All three of these go together. Yeah, it's not as bad as, being an alcoholic or something like that, or being ignorant, but this is going to cause you to lose a lot of time. It's going to cause you to become lazy. Same thing. It's just connected to a lot of these things, like the lack of sleep, the porn. A lot of gamers are porn addicted. You know what I'm talking about. Gaming is it's a negative habit at the end of the day. Don't cope. Don't cope. It is a bad habit. It's a time waster. You need to be focused on the real world. You need to be focused on going to the gym, improving your life, not staring at a screen and playing video games all day, because ultimately video games will lead to the same thing that binge watching TV and a phone addiction will. Okay, we have good old drugs, hard drugs, pills, heroin, meth, you name it. S tier. This one is obvious. We all know someone that has completely destroyed their fucking life with drugs. Drugs will cause you to steal from your family. They will make you do things that you never thought that you would do just to get your hands on that next fix. It's basically just as bad as the alcohol. Alcohol will do the same thing that drugs will do. Yes, okay, you could do drugs, you could do hard drugs and be a stable user, There's lots of people that do it, but at the end of the day, you can just go down to any major city and just look what drug addiction does to people. They lose everything. They become a hollow. They just become like the Walking Dead, a zombie. Don't do drugs. Don't do hard drugs, okay? Next we have fast food. Fast food or eating like really nasty food. That's going to go in D tier with the sugar. Very similar. It's going to cause you to gain weight. Skin quality is going to be lower than usual. It can cause laziness. It can cause you to feel negative about yourself. It's going to cause a hurt on your wallet financially. People spend more on fast food than they think. You spend hundreds of dollars a month on it if you eat out every day. I've known some people that eat out 3 times a day. I shit you not. They DoorDash, they go out to eat, they do this and that. They end up spending 30 or 40, sometimes even $50 a day on this greasy ass food that's just destroying their life. So yeah, D tier, fast food. Don't be eating fast food every day. That shit'll fuck you up. And then last but not least, we have everyone's favorite drug, marijuana. Marijuana is going to go in the B tier. It's not as bad as alcohol, and it's not as bad as hard drugs, and definitely not as bad as smoking cigarettes for your bodily health. But weed will cause you to become lazy. Weed will cause you to be unambitious. And there's plenty of people in society, I could put this as high C tier, but ultimately I'm going to put it a little bit higher because smoking weed can be very addictive. It can cause a lot of mental issues. I've personally been addicted to weed, and guys, you don't want to be super addicted to weed to the point where you start having withdrawals. Mental withdrawals, they're terrible. Weed will just make you have less ambition in general. You're not going to be as motivated to do the things that you need to do. Obviously, if you're high half the day, that's going to hinder your self progress. And if you really want to live life to the fullest and achieve 100%, man, you can't be smoking weed every day. I'm sorry. You might be able to get by on weed. You might be able to live a decent life smoking weed. There's plenty of people that do it. But if you want to be the best of the best, man, you gotta cut out all this shit. I know I may have left a couple things out of here, but these are going to be the main things that most people are having trouble with in today's society. Especially, it doesn't matter what age you are, young or old, male or female. Some of these things are worse for males. Like, of course, the porn addiction is worse if you're a guy. But you guys should all strive to cut out these habits, and obviously some are worse than the others. All of these are bad for you. Remember that. All of these are bad. Just because, weed is not in an S tier doesn't mean that you shouldn't, try to quit. So leave a like, leave a comment. If you want another tier list, let me know what kind of tier list you want below in the comments. Subscribe, share this video with your friends, help spread the channel, and we are going to be doing more of these tier lists in the future. Peace out, fellas.